On a quiet Thursday afternoon, the serene atmosphere of the local police dispatch room in one of the smallest cities in Alabama was abruptly interrupted by an unexpected voice over the 911 line. What began as a brief and innocent call would soon touch the hearts of everyone in the room and eventually change the course of several lives. The office had been particularly quiet in recent months, and the last 2 weeks of an exceptionally hot summer had been especially uneventful. It seemed that no one dared to commit crimes, or do much of anything for that matter, as the streets remained largely deserted due to the unbearable heat. Many residents had chosen to stay indoors, hiding from the oppressive temperatures with fans working overtime to keep them cool. Despite the slow pace, the police officers on duty knew they had to be prepared for anything. Officers Carter and Elisa were on the clock, ready to respond in case of an emergency, though it seemed like the night would pass just as uneventfully as the previous ones. However, their quiet shift was interrupted when the sound of an incoming call broke through the silence, pulling them back into a state of alertness. "Hello! Good evening. Can you bring me a Happy Meal, please?" came a young, innocent voice from the other end of the line. Elisa, a seasoned professional known for her calm and compassionate demeanor, paused for a moment. The child's request was unexpected, and the tone of the boy's voice revealed no awareness of the seriousness of dialing the emergency number. At first, Elisa thought it was a simple mistake. A child might have dialed the wrong number, or was perhaps playing a prank. Nonetheless, she chose not to end the call. Something in the child's voice made her hesitant to dismiss the request. With a warm tone, she decided to engage the boy in conversation, hoping to gather more information about his situation. "Hi, sweetheart. I think you may have dialed the wrong number. Is your mom or dad around? If you could let me speak to them, we can clear this up," she said gently. But the boy seemed resolute in his request. "They can't get on the phone," he replied. "They're sleeping now. I just want a Happy Meal. I'm so hungry, please. Can you bring it to me?" Elisa's heart sank as she listened to the boy's fading voice. The request, initially innocent, now carried a sense of desperation that alarmed her. What had first appeared as a trivial matter quickly began to feel like something much more serious. Elisa's years of experience taught her that children often lack the vocabulary to articulate deeper problems, and their innocent requests sometimes mask more troubling situations. She made a quick decision. "Okay, sweetheart. Don't worry. I'll help you. Please, stay on the line and don't hang up," she reassured him, hoping to keep the boy talking while she worked to trace the call and assess the situation. Concern and urgency fueled her actions as she swiftly located the source of the call. It came from a neighborhood on the outskirts of the city, an area known to be one of the poorest in town. This discovery only heightened her concern. Without wasting time, Elisa contacted 2 field agents and dispatched them to the boy's address. Her voice, filled with worry for the child's well-being, made the urgency of the situation clear. "Grace, Benedict, I need you to head to this address right away. I'm afraid the boy who made this call may be in trouble. Please check it out and make sure he's okay." Officers Grace and Benedict quickly set out for the address, their minds racing as they prepared for the possibility of finding a child in danger. As they drove, Benedict couldn't help but voice his thoughts. "Do you think Elisa overreacted by sending us here? You know how kids can be with prank calls." Grace, ever serious and focused on her duty, replied, "If Elisa suspects there's a child in danger, we have to check it out. It's our job to protect people, whether they're children or adults. We can't take chances." Arriving at the house minutes later, both officers were immediately struck by the sight before them. The house was a modest structure, run down and abandoned in appearance. The front door stood slightly ajar, and the neglected lawn was strewn with toys, once symbols of childhood joy, now left to decay. Something was deeply wrong. As they stepped out of their patrol car, a chill ran down their spines. The sight of the disheveled yard and the eerie stillness of the house filled them with dread. They approached the front door cautiously, announcing their presence with the authoritative voice of law enforcement. "Alabama Police! Is anyone here? Identify yourselves!" one of the officers called out. The sound of her voice echoed through the dimly lit hallway, only to be met with silence. The stale air inside the house, thick with the smell of abandonment and filth, made it difficult to breathe. It was clear that this was not the home of a happy, well-cared-for family. "How could a child live here?" Benedict muttered under his breath as they ventured further into the darkness. "Even I can barely stand to be here." As their eyes adjusted to the gloom, they made their way into the living room. What they saw there stopped them in their tracks. Two figures lay motionless on a tattered couch, illuminated only by the flicker of a small television. The room was a disaster. Medicine bottles littered the coffee table and floor, along with various other bottles of unknown origin piled in a corner. The scene painted a grim picture of lives in turmoil. Benedict's throat tightened as he approached the figures on the couch, fearing the worst. Tentatively, he reached out to check for a pulse. To his relief, both individuals were still alive, though their pulses were faint. While Benedict attended to the unconscious adults, Grace moved deeper into the house. In the back bedroom, she found a cluttered space filled with discarded clothes and toys. Her flashlight revealed something else, a small makeshift tent of blankets. It was clear that someone, likely the child, had been hiding here. Carefully, Grace approached the tent and, sure enough, found a small boy huddled inside, clutching a cordless phone in his hands. His large, scared eyes stared back at her. Grace's heart broke at the sight of the boy's vulnerability. She knelt beside him and spoke gently. "Hello, champ. My name is Grace, and I'm here to help you." The boy hesitated at first, but then recognized her kindness. Slowly, he reached out and allowed her to lift him up, clinging to her with a mixture of relief and fear. "Are you the lady I talked to on the phone? Are you going to bring me a happy meal?" he asked, his voice filled with childlike innocence. Grace smiled at him. "You'll get your happy meal, I promise. But for now, we need to get you somewhere safe." "What's your name?" she asked as she carried him out of the house. "Jack, miss. My name is Jack," the boy replied with a shy smile. "I'm glad you're here." Outside, the flashing lights of police and ambulance vehicles lit up the night as reinforcements arrived to assess the situation. The unconscious adults were quickly taken to the hospital, while social services came to take custody of Jack. What had once been a quiet neighborhood now buzzed with the activity of emergency responders and concerned neighbors. In the days that followed, Jack's story spread throughout the community, capturing the hearts of many. The plight of the little boy who had called 911 for a happy meal touched everyone, and his bravery shone as a beacon of resilience. His story sparked an outpouring of support from neighbors, local businesses, and strangers alike, all coming together to ensure that Jack and children like him would never have to endure such hardship again. Jack was placed in a loving foster home where he quickly began to thrive. His new environment offered warmth, security, and the chance to have the childhood he deserved. Throughout this time, Officer Grace made a point to visit him regularly. On each visit, she brought him a happy meal, a simple yet meaningful gesture that reminded them both of the night they met. Jack's eyes would light up with joy whenever he saw the familiar red box filled with fries and a hamburger, a tangible symbol of a wish fulfilled. Over time, Jack and Grace developed a strong bond that grew beyond their first encounter, their unlikely friendship serving as a testament to the power of compassion and connection. Jack's story, however, didn't just change his life. It also inspired the entire community to reevaluate how they approached child welfare. Within months of his rescue, local leaders launched an initiative to educate parents and children on the role of emergency services and the importance of knowing how and when to call for help. Workshops were organized, pamphlets distributed, and school programs were introduced to teach children the critical importance of safety, ultimately fostering a greater sense of vigilance and care throughout the city. In the end, Jack's innocent 911 call did much more than save his own life. It sparked a movement, reminding everyone that even the smallest voices have the power to bring about meaningful change.